God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I am here. Reveal your purpose to me.
Exodus 3. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither, pull off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppress them. Come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. And Moses said unto God, Who am I that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, Certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee, that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain. And Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. And God said moreover unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together, and say unto them, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you, and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt, unto the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken to thy voice, and thou shalt come, thou and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, and ye shall say unto him, The Lord God of the Hebrews hath met with us. And now let us go, we beseech thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. And I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go, no, not by a mighty hand. And I will stretch out my hand, and smite Egypt with all my wonders which I will do in the midst thereof. And after that, he will let you go.
Mm. All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to which young brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. All right, and what I want to get into this morning, all right, this morning news and prophecy. All right, all roads lead to the end of Eve's kingdom. Okay, and as we're closing in, all right, on the end of Esau's rulership, there's a lot going on at the same time. All right, but the way to keep, on track is just to tap into the prophecies, man. You know, stick to the narrative of prophecy, man. Because there's so much news coming out, so much information coming out, and it's easy to get confused in these times. So much is coming out. Okay, and that's why we have to stick close to the narrative of prophecy and the overall, all right, agenda of the Heavenly Father is rooted in the understanding of prophecy, man. That's why. Matter of fact, let's go here, okay? Because people, all right, are now want answers, and what do people want the most? They want to understand what's next. That's why a lot of these political, all right, analysts, okay, certain economists and particular things, you know, they're making a lot of money off these times, okay, because people are intrigued about, okay, what's next, okay, and here it is, the Lord has set up his men, all right, the prophets, which in the eyes of this world is irrelevant, okay, and the Lord set it up like that on purpose, man, because the scriptures speak about he that resteth in the secret place of the Most High, or the secret place of the Most High is amongst the prophets. Okay, because that's where the secrets of the Most High are revealed. He showed his secrets to the prophets. So you look out into YouTube, different platforms or whatever. All right, you have all this information going out, and there's still people ignoring the prophets. The things that the prophets have been saying, for decades, beginning with our apostles and elders. Okay, well, people are now making a killing, being booked and going into the war where the apostles been speaking on our end. Even before I came into the truth, brothers was telling me about, when America goes into Iran, how things are going to go into another gear. Okay, that was decades ago. Okay, so now everybody, these experts, and we utilize, the information from, certainly analysts, economists, dealing with technocracy and dealing with the war. But ultimately, they're just confirming what we've been saying, what the spirit of Yahweh Bashim al through the prophets have been saying for decades, man. Okay, but see, one thing that they're lacking is an understanding of prophecy to go with the practical knowledge that they have. And they don't understand that this is the end, because even when they speak optimistically, as if there's going to be some type of new world order, okay, based on, all right, these certain nations, okay, with China, Russia, Iran, and these South Pacific, nations, whatever, New Africa, and I know the Lord's finna end this whole system. Okay, that's one thing that they don't understand. Okay, they don't understand how far the Lord finna take it. See, they speak, as far as the right now, short term, future. But as far as what the Heavenly Father is getting ready to do, that's where they're lacking. Okay, and that's where the prophets come and paint the whole picture. Okay, so when you go to Isaiah 33 and 6, it says, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure." Yeah, see, the wisdom and knowledge of prophecy. Okay, because you can be an expert, you can be boots on the ground in Iran, you can be boots on the ground in UAE and actually seeing the action. Okay, but guess what? You still don't have the perspective of the prophets, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim al Shah, which paints a full picture of everything that's going on. Okay, and what's going to keep us stable is the wisdom and knowledge, okay, of prophecy, man. Okay, that's why there's heavy emphasis to prophesy, man. You know, to go look out into the world and speak out on things that are happening in real time. That's why you go to Habakkuk chapter 2. Okay. Habakkuk chapter 2. This is Habakkuk 2 and 1. I will stand upon my watch, man. You know, is the beloved, elder Apostle Tohar, the beloved elder Yashawamba. All right, they've been going into, you know, how brothers should be prophesying, man, because there's so much going on. Every brother got different, gifts and talents and lots, but there's so much going on, man, that we should be speaking on these things, man. We're on our watch. All right. And as we look out into the world, man, this is prophecy speaking. So as we're upon our watch, man, we're seeing the will of the Heavenly Father come together. We're seeing the Lord wrapping this thing up, man. Hey, the Lord is wrapping Esau up. He's pushing this man to the end. Esau has been pushed by prophecy, man. Okay? The Lord really got this man running to the end of his kingdom. Okay? With the way things are going. All right? And it's a beautiful thing. To see it real time, to see our power, begin to make these moves. Okay? So it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me. And the Lord speaks to his prophets through these events that's happening, man. This is letting us know what time we in. When we see certain events, this lets us know what time we in, man. We're here. Because this devil, he can't, start something and fall back and do a trial run and fall. No, he got to come with it, man. Okay, we beyond this nigga doing all these trial runs, and because it's too much damage being done right now as we speak. There's too much infrastructure dealing with energy that's being destroyed as we speak, man. Okay, the war is constantly escalating. Certain nations are, more nations are, posturing themselves to get involved. Okay, so there's no sign of de-escalation, man. Okay, and if this thing continues, this gives this forces, okay, these elites to have to do what they got to do, man, which they want a global reset. Okay, so we know as we watch out that these devils, okay, are in the mix, okay, manipulating what's going on to bring about a global reset. And what shall I answer when I am reproved? Okay, and what shall I answer when I am reproved? And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables that they may run that readeth it, man. All right, and the plain upon tables is the Bible. Our forefathers, they wrote down the vision that they had, the revelation given to them. Okay, so we know this book is inspired by the Most High. The Heavenly Father gave our forefathers, the prophets, visions and dreams, okay, about things that will come. Okay, and they wrote it down as plainly as they could. Okay, and now, all right, we're in the time where the vision that they seen, the dreams that they had, okay, now is playing out real time. Okay, and we're able to expound on these things through the Holy Spirit, which is giving us understanding. Okay, it said, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. Everything has an appointed time. Like you go February 28th, all right, the day that those small hats in America, struck Iran. Well, that's an appointed time. That time was already appointed from the beginning. 2026, February 28th. All right, that certain time was already marked and appointed, all right, to begin, okay, the war, all right, that will end Esau, man, that will end, all right, these heathens, man. Okay, beginning with Esau, beginning with Amalek, man. Okay, now we're in the time where the Lord is getting ready to throw down. Okay, he will allow these devils to build, only so far, then he will throw down, man. It said, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, man. Okay. So you have times where it's like, man, nothing is happening. That can't be said anymore. We can't say, well, nothing is happening. No, everything is happening, man. We have times in the truth, man, it seemed like, it's just business as usual, and nothing really being shooken up, man. Okay. These people just going about their day to day, man, with no care, man. This wicked society is like, damn. Okay. But now it's like, okay, everything is happening, man. You know, there's a major ripple effect, man. You see? Because Lord will, man, that the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, man. It's just gonna continue to get worse and worse and worse, man. Okay, and we can see scenarios with other nations and that's how it's always been, because there's been starvation in other countries. Okay, while other countries been chilling. So we can start seeing starvation just begin to spark off in these other nations, chaos in these other nations. Okay, before it hits America, man. And then again, hey, the Most High calls these devils, to do some false flag, some cyber attack, and really get this thing rolling, man. Push this thing ahead, man. So any day, man, there's no telling what can happen. They can change the course, okay, of dealing with prophecy, man. You know, Hey, because everything is done in the timing of the Most High, man. And the Most High full of surprises, man. Okay, prophecy is full of surprises. Okay, in the way that the Lord causes these things to come to pass, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Um, let's go here. Yep, brother got that. Let's see. We'll get that. But let's get this real quick too. And then we'll segue to a couple videos. This get this in second Ezra 9. All right. So this is the brother. All right. Warriors for Yahushua, Amos 3 and 7. It says, surely the Lord would do nothing, but he revealed his secrets unto the servants, the prophets. And the Lord has revealed his secrets, man. Okay. While, you have people speculating and, about this and speculating about that. No, we're sure. We fully understand what the Lord finna do. Okay. Ain't no guessing about it. Ain't no speculating. Ain't no, nah, man. That's why I say you listen, we listen to a lot of these analysts and get information. Okay. But one thing about it, when they speculate, we're certain. When they have speculation, we have certainty, man. We know what the Lord finna do. Okay. The U1 ain't gonna be the next play. Okay. A new system based around the U1. Nah, man. Okay. That's not prophecy, man. You see? Moab finna go into captivity right along with Esau, man. Okay, all these nations finna lose this war. Okay, you have certain nations, getting the ups in certain battles and back and forth, but ultimately all these nations finna lose this war, man. Okay, verse 8 said, the lion have roared, who will not fear? The Lord power has spoken, who can but prophesy, man? And we know ultimately that lion that's beginning to roar, Yahweh Shai, man. And that's the spirit that these small hats, all right, these weak ass small hats, the IDF, they calling their military operation Roaring Lion. Okay, and they're gonna bring in this operation, this military operation, which is a war. Okay, is gonna bring about the true Roaring Lion, which is Yahweh Shai, the conquering lion, as the scriptures say, man. All right, in Revelation, I believe the 5th chapter. You see, it said the Lord has spoken. How is he speaking? Through his prophets, man. So the Lord is speaking. All right, the Lord is causing these events to happen. Well, who can but prophesy? If we're prophets, how can we not prophesy about what we're seeing real time if we're prophets? Okay, how can we not go into these things and break these things down according to thus said the Lord? Okay, but the scripture speak about how what the poor man's knowledge, okay, is deemed irrelevant. Roughly paraphrasing the precept, but the scriptures go I believe Ecclesiastes 9, around about 13, 14, around in that area. Okay. Well, it speaks about the poor man's knowledge is disregarded, man. Okay. Which is speaking of the prophets, but the remnant, in the eyes of the remnant, this knowledge is precious, man. Okay. So let's go here. This is Second Ezra 9:1. It says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. Now, how do we measure the time diligently in itself, man? We got to thoroughly look through these things, man. You know, we got to thoroughly watch. We got to comb through these things, and man, and see like, oh, this prophecy, man. This is Jeremiah. This is Ezekiel. This is Isaiah, man. This is happening. We're looking at prophecy fulfill itself, man. And this the Lord showing that He is. Okay, so we're seeing all the signs leading up to Yahushua, which is the end of Esau's kingdom. Okay, and the end of our captivity, man. Okay, so then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which He have made. So now we're seeing the signs that show that the Lord is going to visit this place. He's going to visit this place with plagues. All right. And then He's going to send His Son, Yahushua. That's the ultimate visitation. Okay. The return of Yahushua, that's the ultimate visitation, man. You see? Right there. So like, yeah, that's a lesson within itself. The ultimate visitation. So reading down said, therefore, when there shall be earthquakes and uproars in the world, and that's what we're seeing. Earthquakes have massively uptick, uproars of the people, especially as we see starvation, all right, kick in, man. As businesses are going to close due to energy crisis, man. And this devil, he got to ride this out, man. I don't see this devil letting up, man. The Lord, I don't see the Lord letting this devil let up. Okay. So as things continue on this current path, man, it's going to be these uproars, these peaceful protests are going to become violent. Okay, and it's going to get to a point to where day-to-day life is going to be violent, man. Okay, as people scrounge, okay, for resources, man. Okay, it said, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Yeah, the Most High, all right, spoke these things from the beginning. You see, we go to text, over 2,000 years old, 3,000 years old, and it's prophesying of these exact days that we in now. Okay, I will set, a cruel Lord over the Egyptians. Speaking over here in America, man, that was thousands of years ago that was written, man. Playing out now. Okay, Egyptian shall be against Egyptian. Okay, there shall be no work for the head. All right, the tail. You go to Isaiah 19, man. That's ancient text, man, and it's playing out real time. And there's many more examples, but just giving one example, man. So the Lord spoke of these things from the beginning. Okay, and they play out now, and that's how the Lord shows that He is. Okay, not to be confused with anything else, man. The Most High, He is. All right, and He proves that through His word coming to pass. Okay, and that's why you have the ministry of the prophets, all right, to expound on the Most High's word. So if they come to pass, you can say, oh, their God is doing this. That's why we prophesy in the names of Yahweh, in the name of His Son, Yahushua. Okay, those are the names associated to prophecy being fulfilled in the earth, man. Okay, this is the power that's bringing this to pass. Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and the end is manifest. Okay, and the end is manifest. You see, we in the time now where the end is being made manifest. Okay, We're seeing the end manifest itself, man. This war is going to end this age, man. This war is going to go nuclear, man. This devil has to collapse the economy and bring about the MOTB. He has to do these things, man. It's manifest now. Okay, this tech ass energy global lockdown, he finna roll out. He just got to roll with it, man. Whether he's as ready or not, this nigga got to roll with it, man. You know, it's manifest, man. Okay. Verse 6 said, even so, all right, even so, the times also the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. Okay. And this is what we're seeing, the effects and signs of the end. Okay. And everything that's happening is leading to the end. The AI, the central bank digital currency, the war, okay, the energy crisis, and all these, everything leads to the end of Esau's kingdom, man. Okay, no matter what path this nigga take, it leads to the same end. Okay, so let's go here. I got this real quick. So let's go here. And then we'll update that's going on. Like I say, because this war, what we're seeing is these nations that's involved in the background, eventually they're gonna come to the forefront. You know, and all these nations, all right, have new world order ambitions. Okay, and what we're seeing, all right, is a shift in the trajectory that's going to lead to actual war. You see, Esau started this war for a global reset, but the Lord started this war. Okay, all right. The Lord got Esau to start this war. Okay, which is going to end this man's kingdom. So in Esau's mind, this war was started for a global reset. You know, because he reset the earth. You know, 2 times before, World War I and World War II. Okay, so in his mind, World War III is just the platform for his global reset, not understanding that this war is going to wipe his ass out, man, and remove his ass from power completely. Okay, so the Most High has checkmated Esau, man. Okay, so let's play this.
Because this Sunday afternoon, we are now 8 days away from April 6th. That's the date that President Trump says Iran has to comply or face an even more devastating next phase of this war. By the way, a delay that Iran didn't even want. He extended that deadline by 10 days, and the media wants you to believe that means that Washington is in total control. But over the past 24 hours, the real picture coming out of this battlefield has been absolutely brutal for the official narrative, because over the past 24 hours, we got some devastating new information that completely blows apart the propaganda that we're being fed by Washington, by Tel Aviv, and of course by the mainstream media, which is in lockstep with both of these governments. And they are basically PR arms of the Pentagon. Here's the reality on this Sunday that they don't want you to focus on. The Washington Post reporting that the United States has already burned through more than 850 Tomahawk missiles in just 4 weeks as we now enter this second month of the war. Remember, it was supposed to be a 4-day war? Okay, so think about that. More than 850. These are not cheap Tomahawk missiles. These are not easy to replace, and we don't have the capacity to replace them yet. At the very same time, Reuters is reporting U.S. intelligence can only confirm with any kind of certainty that about 1/3 of Iran's missile arsenal has actually been destroyed. 1/3? Do you buy that number? So let me get this straight. We fired off a staggering amount of high-end munitions. We've hammered them with bunker-busting bombs. 10,000 targets. We can now confirm 10,000 targets. And we can't say with any kind of certainty that we've taken out more than just 1/3 of what Iran had. That's not victory, although that's what the White House would have you believe. That's not dominance at all. That's an admission that this war is chewing through American firepower at a terrifying rate right now. Iran's still very much in the fight and has actually been holding back its most advanced weapons that we haven't touched. It kind of reminds me of Muhammad Ali's rope-a-dope strategy, taking a whole bunch of punches, just waiting and just waiting and just waiting, and then pouncing when the enemy is tired and worn out, when America and Israel are at their most vulnerable. And that's exactly why this next phase is so dangerous, because now the Houthis are in officially. No more guessing, no more maybe on.
So yeah, man, you see, and America is throwing a lot into this war. You know, that their mindset was on a short war. You know, America, all right, they in their minds, okay, they will be in full control of the Strait of Hormuz, okay, which would allow them, to cut Russia and China, okay, from energy because these devils have a lot going on. The AI, it takes a lot of energy, man. So these different nations and these different, elites that's behind these different nations, man, they got a lot going on, man. It's a lot of infighting. Okay, you best believe it's a lot of, betrayal amongst, okay, these Edomites, these elites, betrayal amongst these nations, because the scriptures say talk about treachery, man, how they should deal treacherously, okay, against those that dealt treacherously dealing with America, man. You know, so there's a lot of plot on America, man. See, this is prophecy. Okay, we don't have to. We don't need a commentary about these nations that's gonna flip on America, man, because the Bible said that, man. All right, the EU gonna flip. All right, and all these nations that got these deals with America, they're gonna begin flipping. All right, to take America out, man. Okay, and this is a fight over resources, because these are different oligarch families. You best believe somebody wants to be the head of this thing, man. Okay, this is our new world order. All right, these Edomites, this is Esau we're talking about. Somebody wants to be the head. Okay, somebody wants to be the all right, the head honcho of this thing, man. So there's a resource grab going on amongst these nations. Okay, going into this new world order. All right, now you have Yemen, okay, getting into the fight, which Yemen is not a mighty military, but strategically it can do damage to the global economy. Okay, through uh the Red Sea passage, man. Okay, and how much the elites are, controlling each nation and how they move. We can only speculate, but we know what the Lord is doing. Okay, we know for sure that the Lord's in full control of all this, man. The Lord is going to close the Red Sea, man, just as He closed the Strait of Hormuz. All right, because it's the Lord's will that's being performed in the midst of all this, man. All right, because what the least got going on is going to fail. Okay, so let's play this.
Saturday, the Houthis in Yemen have now launched their first attack on Israel in this current war. I spoke with Colonel McGregor just this morning, who told me that Houthi intervention was timed to raise the strategic economic cost by threatening access to the Red Sea, particularly in Saudi ports like Jeddah. In addition to that, the Houthis are now compelling our forces to fight on multiple fronts and further regionalize this war beyond the Gulf. So that means this is no longer just Iran and Israel. This is now a regional multi-front mess that can spread from the Persian Gulf.
And this is how world wars start. Okay, it started off with a conflict with two nations, and then, all right, the allies of those two nations began to enter the fight. Okay, right now, all right, with the Yemen, you have the Israelis being attacked from the south. Okay, the north by Hezbollah and from the east by Iran. So the small heads are now fighting a three front war. Okay, with the possibility of another major choke point. All right, the Bab el Mandeb Strait. It's a little more difficult to say than the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, but another strait, which is a choke point. Okay, for shipping, for global shipping. Okay, now that's on the board. Okay, and we know, in order to do a reset, the devils need things closed down, man. So in their mind, certain things are working in their favor. All right, but they don't understand that the Most High, all right, is going to keep escalating this thing until their empire is destroyed, until they end up in slavery. You see, they're not going to be able to just turn the switch off, man. Okay, I said even if they broker some type of peace deal, okay, some type of ceasefire, whatever, all right, we know that it's going to be a continuation. All right, and the way nations, because a lot of nations have showed their hands. You know, a lot of nations have done things you can't just go back to normal anymore. Nah, okay. And this thing is getting to a point of no return, man. As it keeps going and escalate, it's getting to a point of no return. So let's play this some more.
Bob El-Mandeb, the way that they've threatened to, it will be an economic disaster through the Red Sea. Roughly 12% of world trade passes through that corridor. So just forget oil for a second. All of that trade coming through, 12%. That's
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
That's not some side issue. This is a global economic artery. Colonel Dan Davis on his show on Saturday made the point that this might have been the strategy all along. You degrade America's missile stockpiles, drag us deeper into Iran, and then open another front through Yemen while the U.S. forces are already stretched incredibly thin.
10,000, maybe 12 or 13,000 by now, missile strikes has only netted you up about 1/3 of what they had. And so that means that their ability to sustain is likely going to continue on for the foreseeable future. And that gives them confidence. And with the Houthis joining, that gives them more confidence. Kataib Hezbollah in Lebanon, all of this stuff gives them more and more confidence.
Now look at what the Pentagon is doing. The USS Tripoli has arrived, carrying about 3,500 soldiers. The total U.S. forces in the region now well over 50,000, the biggest American military posture in the Middle East in more than 20 years. And this comes after Iran hit Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia on Friday, injuring at least 15 troops there. Iranian sources saying that more than 500 Americans have been wounded or killed so far. So when they tell you this is under control, that America has already won this war, no, it's not under control. That's a bald-faced lie. You don't rush in more Marines, more paratroopers, more ships, more contingency special forces, like the 82nd Airborne Division, because you're calmly wrapping things up. We're all done over there. You do that because you know this war is about to get a whole lot worse. What's going to happen in these next 8 days? By the way, here's the part that no one on like Fox or CNN wants to really touch, and that is China. Because what we are hearing from our sources in the region is absolutely explosive. They are telling us China is not just quietly cheering Iran on from the sidelines. They're helping Iran build a battlefield nervous system right now. China has basically sent massive amounts of hardware right before the war started. We're talking portable anti-stealth radar that we've learned about, surface-to-air systems, the Baidu satellite support systems, signals intelligence systems, terrain mapping, cyber architecture, real-time tracking of U.S. naval movement. Our sources say Beijing is using this war as a live fire intelligence laboratory against America's most advanced systems.
So another thing in wars too, you know, especially since Iran is holding its own, China and Russia are able to test their military hardware in the real war. Because it's one thing you test your weaponry, you know, just in the open field, in the open desert, you test, you know, your systems. Okay. Was another thing to get, you know, real live reps in the real war. Okay. That's why certain, you know, like Korea, they sent troops. North Korea sent troops to help Russia in the Ukraine war. Not that Russia was need help, but to get those troops their real live training in the war, in the real time war, because you can't replace that. Okay, Palantir don't give a damn how many cameras and AI and witchcraft. You can't replace real time experience. Okay, in war. Okay, so China and Russia is getting all this real time learning, all right, of American hardware, all right, and how their hardware responds and performs against American military. So they're getting that privilege of seeing how their weaponry perform against American weaponry and not having to be in the actual war. Okay, but eventually they're going to get directly involved because of prophecy's sake. Okay, the kings of the east, Ezekiel 38, we know that's going to play a part. But what they're doing now, they're allowing their weapon systems, all right, to be tested real time in war. Okay, they're learning. They're learning a lot. Okay, like I say, just because Iran. Okay, the war started February 28th. And people were saying just because like Russia didn't jump in immediately, the next week, then oh man, Russia. No, it don't work like that, man. Okay, study World War One, World War Two, man. Certain nations didn't come in till a year later, 2 years later. Okay, America didn't come into World War Two until the end. Okay, nations just don't come into war 3 days later, man. It don't work like this. Not a bar fight. Okay, it takes time, man. Now these things are going to be faster than World War One and World War Two. Things are going to move faster, but war don't move like that, man. Okay, to where these nations get directly involved in 2 days, 3 days, they don't work like that, man. Okay, so what we're seeing is Russia and China. They're allowing, they have the privilege to get real time data. Okay, on how these weapons perform, and they're learning, and they're just in the lab upgrade, making tweaks, fine tuning. And when they really, all right, when these nations really come together to go against Babylon, man, they're gonna beat the brakes off America, man. And the small hats is just a little appetizer on the side, man. Okay, a non-factor, man. Okay, and these nations know that America and the small hats come as a combo package, man. That's why America and these small hats gonna get the worst of World War III, man. Okay, so let's play this.
Everything we do. So is taking Taiwan next? What will we do? They're watching everything that we have. Now, publicly, this is where U.S. officials actually admitting that China's top chip makers are supplying technology to Iran's military-industrial complex. Reuters also reported last month that Iran was nearing a deal with China for anti-ship cruise missiles. So even on the public record, China's fingerprints are all over this. China learning our systems in real time, while Iran does the bleeding, absorbing all of these blows. And the reason our F-35s are being hit, one of them downed, at least the one we know about, by Iran, is because of China's targeting, we are learning. So Iran wasn't doing this on their own. It's all China. Remember, these aircraft, by the way, were supposed to be unhittable. That's why we spent, tens of billions of dollars on this F-35 program. They're unhittable. Okay. Not anymore. And maybe that helps explain the next humiliation in all of this. America and Israeli intelligence appear to have badly underestimated Iran.
Yeah, if a brother can get that as well, because we can't stress enough how the Most High is showing that no matter how powerful military is, how wealthy a nation is, they have limitations. Okay, they're subject to limitations, man. Okay, so let's matter of fact, if a brother can get that in the book of let's go to the book of let's get the book of Isaiah chapter 33. You get straight to the point. Yeah, that's Isaiah 33. And no, it's like Isaiah 31 verse 3. Isaiah 31 and verse 3 in the NLT Bible shot. If brother can get that. And I'll let this play while brother get it.
Underground missile cities, as they're being called. One major reason the United States still can't confidently assess Iran's missile losses is because so much of that arsenal is buried in underground tunnels. And bunkers, sophisticated bunkers and tunnels before the war even started, dispersed stockpiles. This is why these missiles keep flying. This is why Iran can keep absorbing these strikes and still fire back. You can't bomb what you can't see and what you don't know about. And that's what an intelligence failure looks like in real time. And remember what Colonel McGregor and Colonel Davis told us on Thursday on our show. We did a whole military panel about this. Iran has not even used what he says are the most advanced hypersonic systems yet.
Well, my impression is that they have a large number of hypersonic missiles they have yet to fire. That's very clear. They made that clear because they started utilizing older missiles for the purpose of wearing down air and missile defenses, also identifying air and missile defense batteries and radars and so forth. I don't see any evidence that they're about to run out.
So let that sink in. They're exhausting defenses with older waves while holding back something far worse that we can't stop. Now let's talk about the propaganda on casualties, because this is where the media really loses me, loses all of us. We keep hearing the fairy tale that Israel is basically taking light damage, that everything is under control, that Iran is lashing out wildly and achieving nothing. Really? New reporting over the last 24 hours, citing Israel's health ministry, says 142 people were brought to hospitals in the last 24 hours alone. 142. So no, this idea that Israel's barely getting touched is nonsense. We're also hearing from multiple sources that the number of Israeli wounded is over 5,000. Yeah, you won't hear that on Fox News or CNN. And when governments start tightening information during wartime, you should assume the real picture is worse, not better. Dr. Trita Parsi on our show earlier this week revealed that within 24 hours of this war starting, the United States classified U.S. casualties. You don't classify U.S. casualties if you're proud of how well things are going. So while all of this is happening, the economic fallout is already here. Brent crude prices closed Friday, $112 a barrel. Price is going to go much higher if this drags on. The Strait of Hormuz Saturday morning effectively closed. Reuters also says this war has taken about 11 million barrels a day of global oil out of the supply chain. 11 million. This is why markets are shaking. Gas prices skyrocketing across the United States. Inflation now up over 4%. That's why every family watching this video needs to understand this is not some faraway conflict that doesn't touch your life. It's already here. Now, Trump is also blasting NATO, saying the U.S. does not have to be there for the alliance after Europe refused to basically back this war. He called them a paper tiger.
After doing an average of $1.65 million per month for the last 12 months, this is the one thing I would focus on if I wanted.
This is NATO. And I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. And I've always said we help NATO, but they'll never help us.
So this effectively is the end of NATO as we know it, and good riddance. And that's the real story this Sunday, not the fake news version. The real version of everything that I just went through is America is burning through missiles that we can't replace fast enough. Iran is still standing, has been waiting to strike their most sophisticated weapons yet. The Houthis are now in the fight. China appears to be learning from every second of this war. U.S. troops are getting hit hard. Oil is screaming higher. And April 6th is now just 8 days away. So when they tell you this is all going according to plan, don't buy it. It's garbage. This looks a lot more like escalation through exhaustion than peace through strength. So that's the news update part of today.
So yeah, man, prophecy is speaking, and as he talked about the EU, well, this is prophecy. Okay. Trump called him a paper tiger or whatever. Well, we know according to scripture there was going to be a falling out between America and the EU. Okay, Revelation 17:16, it says, "In the 10 horn which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore." Okay, and the whore is America, man. Okay, and America, all right, for the longest, has enjoyed the privilege, okay, of being, an empire, man. And these other nations, these 10 horns, just been vassals. Okay, they're just vassals to the empire, man. And what we're seeing, these vassal states are beginning to hate the whore, the empire. All right, and they're going to get ready to turn on the empire, man. And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Okay, so this is where we at, man. The Lord, all right, is at the point to where he's going to cause this war eventually, on down the line to go nuclear. Okay, but he has started their process that's going to lead to the nuclear war. Okay, and even these EU nations that have the capability, they have the nuclear capability to reach America, man, they're going to torch this bitch, man. Okay, let's go here, and what we're seeing every day is how limited America is, man. How limited, all right, uh, the elites are, man. Okay, Isaiah 31:3 it says, "For these Egyptians," this is brother Mark Ball. "For these Egyptians are mere humans, not the Most High. Their horses are puny flesh, not mighty spirits. When the Lord raises His fist against them, those, all right, when the Lord raises His fist against them, those who help, okay, let me see, will stumble, all right, and those who help will stumble, all right." Put the end of it. Let me see. Oh yeah, those who help will stumble, and those being helped will stumble. Okay, so what we're seeing, all right, American military is limited. Okay, they're mortals. They have limitations. Okay, American soldiers can die. Okay, American military hardware can be destroyed. American infrastructure, these aircraft carriers, they're on the back foot. They're running. Okay, from the battle, man. You see, they're limited. These things were looked at as guys, man. Those aircraft carriers to pull up to a nation, man. And America used to make whatever deal, what they call gunboat policies, man. Okay, America pull them aircraft carriers to your coast, and America come in and make any deal it wants. Okay, because these nations knew how much firepower these aircraft carriers had, man. Okay, but now we're seeing, hey, the Lord got a spirit on these nations, man, to get at America, man. All right, to try to bully. Okay, and then the world is seeing that the bully is overrated. Okay, and now there's treachery being plotted against America, man, the horde. Okay, but the Lord is showing that this devil has limitations. Okay, and that he's not this unstoppable force in the earth, man. Okay, so let's go from let's go here, and it says anybody, and there's a spirit. You know how the Lord has it where Iran is attacking anybody to help America, and it's going to increase because helping America is going to be swift destruction, and ultimately all these nations are going to get it. But the nations that help America, they're going to get it the worst. Okay, and eventually it's going to be America and the small hats by themselves, man. Okay, and that's what is going to result in the end, is America and these small hats by themselves, man. Okay, where they're going to be completely obliterated. The only difference is, our land is going to be built back up. America is going to be a forever desert. Now let's go here real quick, because we have to understand, and if a brother can get that in Second Esdras, all right, 15:5. All right, because war and famine, we went through before. War and famine go together. Okay, so brother, get that thing in Second Esdras 15:5. All right, but this brother warriors of Yahushua 144, Job 14:5. It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, that has appointed bounds that he cannot pass, man. And that's the spirit, man. It's certain precepts that come out every day, all day, man, because this nigga's at his end. It's like playing your favorite song, some of these precepts, man, to know that this nigga days are determined. The Most High got this nigga numbered. Okay, and we can tell that we in the last few of them days, man. We at the last end, man. He's at the bottom of his rulership, man. Okay, Esau riding on fumes, man. His rulership is riding on fumes, man. He's finna be fully out of gas, man. The Most High gassing this man out. Okay, I got a quick clip just to show, because even in World War I and II, there was mass famine. We have to understand wars come with famine, and that's even before World War I and World War II. All right, this is ancient. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find. So I'm gonna play this though, but he's gonna talk about probably a few minutes of it. Okay, play a few minutes of it.
Berlin. November 1916. You are a mother of 3. Your government told you the war would be over by Christmas. It is now the second Christmas. The British naval blockade has cut off food imports. The potato harvest failed, not because of weather, but because the army took all the copper for shell casings, and without copper there is no fungicide, and without fungicide the blight ate the crop. Your ration card entitles you to 1,000 calories a day. Your children need 2,000. The only food available is turnips, animal feed. You boil it, you mash it, you bake it into bread. They call it the turnip winter. By the time the war ends, hundreds of thousands of civilians will die of hunger and disease from this blockade. Not soldiers, mothers, children, old men. Now picture this. Leningrad, November 1941. The siege has been going for 2 months. Your bread ration just dropped to 125 grams per day. 3 thin slices, about 300 calories. You need 2,000. 100,000 people will die every month through the winter. People are boiling wallpaper paste because it contains potato starch. The zoo animals are gone, the pets are gone. Now picture this.
It's just like a very cool way to prototype extremely quickly. If I go here in Figma, I just have this design here that I pulled together. I can just take the link, I can copy a link to selection.
Beirut, August 4th, 2020. A warehouse explodes at the port. The blast destroys the country's only major grain silos. Within 2 years, the price of a basic food basket rises 1,500%. 85% of Lebanese cannot afford basic food. Same pattern. War disrupts energy. Energy disrupts food. Food prices explode. Savings become calories. Here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Right now, the Strait of Hormuz carries the raw materials for nitrogen fertilizer that grows food for 4 billion people. The strait is closed. The world's largest urea supplier has shut down. Fertilizer plants across Asia have closed, and this disruption is hitting during spring planting season. Farmers who cannot get fertilizer now will produce less food at harvest. There is no strategic fertilizer reserve. None. Anywhere in the world. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how war turns into famine. The same chain every time, and the 5 strategies that kept families fed when the system broke. Stick with me. Before we dive in, this is history, not financial advice. Do your own research. The chain. Every war-caused famine follows 5 links. Break any one and the food stops. War disrupts energy. Energy disrupts agriculture. Agriculture disrupts transport. Transport disrupts distribution. Prices explode and savings become calories. Germany, 1916. Same chain. Leningrad, 1941. Same chain. Yemen, 2015. Same chain. Every single time. Now the survival strategies.
Now, real quick, because that's what we're seeing happen, and this is, I say, of course, the elites manipulate, all scenarios that we see happening. Okay, but also we have to understand too, war and famine go together. Okay, way before. Okay, we have what we call, these elite bankers of today. Ancient war and famine went together. Okay, because you at war, you're trying to win at all costs. Okay, so you're going to have the elites manipulating things, and you're going to also have these nations, all right, trying to get the upper hand by all costs. And it's going to be a world war. More nations are going to come in. So there's going to be more supply chains that's going to be disrupted. As more nations coming to the war, more movement of goods are going to stop. Okay, because when we in war for real, trade stop. When we really get into war, all right, speaking of nations, these other nations that's going to be involved, when they really get into war, okay, against America, it's going to be a lot of things that's going to stop flowing to America, man. Okay, because America is an import, all right, nation, man. Okay, so when you go, just here real quick, just a quick Google, and just ask how does war and famine relate? All right, even going back to ancient wars, It said war and famine are intimately linked. All right, which means they're very familiar. Okay, you really can't have one without the other. There's never been a war that didn't disrupt, all right, the movement of goods and affect the food supply. Okay, it says with conflict acting as a primary driver of acute food insecurity throughout history, war causes famine by destroying crops, livestock, and infrastructure, displacing farmers and severing supply chain. It is often deliberate strategy, a weapon of war to weaken enemies by starving civilian populations. How war causes famine. Destruction of agriculture, said battles, bombing, and marching armies destroy crops, kill livestock, and ruin farming infrastructure. All right. It says when farmers and rural populations flee violence, they leave behind land that goes unplanted or harvested, leading to sudden food shortages, man. So even farmers fleeing, trying to flee the war. Okay, it's gonna be a lot to play into, this famine. A lot of these things are engineered, but then a lot of these things are naturally tied to war as well. Okay, it says blockades of siege warfare historically and currently. All right, cutting off food, water, and humanitarian aid to a town or region is a common tactic to force surrender, as seen in a sense from the Roman destruction of Carthage, 146 BC, to modern conflicts, man. So even going back to ancient wars, okay, you will have these tactics in place, that will weaponize, okay, food, okay, a siege, even going to the Bible, okay, you had this story where, Jake was eating donkey heads and dove dongs. Why? Because they were cut off. The Syrian king had cut them off from what? Food. Okay, the women, they came to the king. The woman that came and complained to the king and said, "Look, this woman, we had an agreement we were gonna eat my son today and eat her son tomorrow, but she ran off." So famine and war go together. You see, this is what we have to understand. They naturally go together, even beyond, the engineer famine that the elites are doing. Okay, naturally, famine and war go together. Okay, it said conflict causes food prices to soar, often creating scenarios where food is available but priced far beyond the reach of ordinary people. And this is what the elites can engineer, because they can just create prices off the chart. And that Brent crude oil is going off the chain. Now, last week they maintained it under $100 for a few days. So just to show that, but I'm gonna go to this too. This Brent oil. Well, let's go here real quick. Dealing with the Brent oil. So I looked at it today, man, and the Brent oil prices is 115. They get up to 120, man. That's gonna be crazy, man. See, this is what the devils do. Trump kept them prices low by talking about those he was talking about peace deals, and then he was talking about sending Marines. And the purpose of the Marines was supposed to open up the Strait. Okay, but since that operation ain't going through, prices shot up. See, they marked this oil based on, okay, we got peace deals, and then plus on top of that, the Marines can go through and open the Strait. So the market play off that. So Trump been manipulating the market with his speeches. So if you brought, all the oil, let's say if you put stocks in a bunch of oil last week when it was in the 90s, the upper 90s, okay, now it's going up. Okay, now you have all this money that you put in and it just increasing, man. And that's what these devils are doing as well. Well, the people that's on the tier with Trump now, for the least, all right, they don't care about no money. Okay, they make the money. This little money game that everybody else play, they create that. Okay, these devils want control. All right, They want control. This is what these devils want, man. You see? But they letting these these cronies, Trump and his cronies, okay, they're beginning to manipulate the markets and do a money grab. Because these little smaller underlings like Trump, they still, they play this money game, okay, of the elites, And since they have all this inside information and they able to say things and manipulate the market, there's a lot of money grabbing been done as well. Well, see, this crude oil is at 115, man, for the US, man. That's getting up there. So this is something to look for. All right. So let's I think I got one more little clip. Okay, let's play this. I got one more clip. All right, this second Esdras 15:5, it says, "Behold, said the Lord." It's the brother Wars of Yahweh 144. It says, "Behold, said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction." Okay, so war and famine go together. Destruction. Okay, these things go together, man. So this war goes on. Famine is going to increase. Famine is guaranteed to increase if this war goes on, man. Yep, the brother got these two. Yep, beautiful. This the brother Zechariah Yahweh, the 144. His Lamentation 4:9 said, "Those slain with the sword are better than those slain with hunger, for they pine away, straying, all right, straying through the wilderness for the want of fruits of the field." Man, yeah, it's gonna be a torturous death, man. A famine. That's gonna be a torturous death, man. And this is what the Lord is getting ready to bring to the masses, man, a torturous death. Okay? The Heavenly Father is getting ready to bring a torturous death to the masses, man. Okay? Because Scripture say, many shall die by famine. And that's going to be a torture, man. A long, drawn out. Okay? The Lord going to have you, the Lord going to have time to think about the BS you was on, your wickedness. You probably hear the prophets in the background as because you get to hallucinate. When you get the starvation, you get to hallucinate, man. You go to, the Lord will take you in and out of different realms, man. It's gonna be a torment, man. The Lord not finna play, man. What the Lord finna bring to the earth, man, is gonna be remembered forever, man. It's gonna remember like, damn. Boy, I remember that time we pissed the Lord off, man. You see, it's gonna be an eternal memory. Like, damn, we know what not to do, man. You see, Joel 1:10 said, this is another from the brother Zechariah, Yahweh 144. Joel 1:10 said, "The field is wasted, all right. The land mourneth, for the corn is wasted, the new wine is dried up, the oil languished," man. Okay, so we got things in place, man, to where crops ain't you're gonna have it to where crops are not being harvested. These farmers don't have it, and what's available, okay, people are not going to have access to, because the price markup, panic buying, the violence, the civil unrest is going to be, domestic wars going on within these different nations. Okay, as you have wars going on across borders, you're going to have wars going on within nations as well. Okay. You see, so it's going to be going down at the return of Yahweh, man. Okay. So let's play this real quick. All right, let's play a few minutes of it, because a cyber attack, all right, will be another devastating blow. Okay, which basically that's famine, because people depend on what to eat, man, their income. Okay, so if a person's income is wiped out, savings and whatever is wiped out, then what do you have, man? Okay, And when you get to a point where cash is not accepted, what's going to be the solution, man? The seal. Okay, so let's play a little bit of this.
And we regret that people have lost money. And whatever we did, whatever the standards of the time were, it didn't work out well.
You created the mess we're in, and now you're saying, sorry.
And look, you've got 90 days before a massive rules change. I mean, the rules meant for protecting your money at the bank, they changed for good. You see, last Wednesday, the people in charge of your bank's safety rules, they held a vote. They decided that you can handle more risk. And they didn't even ask you. It was their discretion about what you can tolerate. What's crazier is where you stood before they even held the vote. You know how you assume your money is safe if something goes wrong at the bank? For every $100 the government promises to protect, they've got $1.17 set aside. $1.17 for $100. That was your safety net before last Wednesday. And they looked at that and they decided.
That's crazy work. For every $100 you got, it's $1.17 set aside. That's crazy work, man. And see, they're pushing all these legislation while everyone is distracted. Okay, they're pushing these things into place. So when certain other things happen that they do, there's already things in play, man. This is a big trap. Okay, this is a big trap that the devil has that he's rolling out, man. See, but this devil, he's in the trap while he's trying to set a trap. You know? So they're passing these certain legislation, and people, I learned this morning. I like, God damn. So listen to what he's finna say now.
You have too much net, and not a single news network covered it. So I pulled the documents for you, all of them. I pulled the vote, the fine print, the math, everything. And what I found isn't just one problem. It's 4 layers of exposure sitting on top of your checking account, your 401k, and the deed to your house right now. I'll take you through all 4. And if you have a bank account in the United States, any bank account, this applies to you. Layer 1, your money, it's not there. In March 2020, the Federal Reserve reduced the reserve requirement for banks to 0. That means your bank is not legally required to keep a single dollar of your deposit on hand, not one. Think of it like a parking garage. You pull your car in, you think it's parked, but the garage has 0 requirement to keep your car in the spot or even in the garage. Instead, they're renting it out as an Uber while you sleep. And then when you come back for your car, you're depending on enough other cars at least being returned at the exact same time for the garage to hand you a set of keys. That's your checking account right now. That rule changed in 2020 and was never changed back. That's layer 1. Layer 2, if the bank fails.
So the bank is not required to have $1 of your money in there. That's crazy, man. All right. And you see, and we see why, you go to the bank and you get cash out, man. It's like the whole bank get offended. All the tellers, look at you like, damn, a nigga come from the back, you like, God damn. You see? Well, they got this, it's such a scam and a fraud, man. The man said they not required to have $1 of your money in there. So when they do these cyber attacks, man, it's over, man. Okay, and they're gonna blame on Iran or Russia, China, either one. Okay, so when they start doing these cyber attacks, man, okay, this is gonna empty people out, man. Okay, because it's a whole scam, man. And see, the Lord got this nigga crashing his own system in hopes to build another, man. And it's gonna be very chaotic and hectic out here, man. Okay.
Your money bails it out. You see, in 2008, the government bailed out the banks with $700 billion of your tax dollars. People were furious. So Congress passed Dodd-Frank and said, never again. No more taxpayer bailouts. Sounds great, right? Well, here's what they replaced it with. Now, if a major bank fails, instead of using taxpayer money, the bank rescues itself using money from its own depositors and bondholders. Still your money, just skips the tax man this time. And this is what they call a bail-in. And this part matters. You see, when you put cash in a bank, you become what they call an unsecured creditor. That's the legal term for your checking account. You gave them cash, they gave you a receipt, but they did not give you a guarantee. Yeah, but what about the FDIC, right? I'm glad you asked. Below $250,000, the FDIC is supposed to have your back. And to be fair, they've covered every insured depositor since 1933. That's real. They've honored their agreement. But remember that $1.17 from earlier? The FDIC holds about 129 billion bucks. The deposits they insure, over $10 trillion. That's $1.17 for every $100 they've promised to protect. That's not insurance. That's a hope and a prayer that it doesn't all come down at once. And after 3 massive bank failures in 2023, the FDIC had to borrow $93 billion just to cover the damage. They had to borrow money to cover the insurance that they sold you. So your money isn't there. And if things go wrong, it's your money that rescues the bank. But then there's this. Even in that rescue, you're not first in line for your own money. And that brings us to layer 3. Wall Street gets paid before you do. You see, under Dodd-Frank, derivative contracts, the bets banks make on Wall Street, legally get special treatment in resolution. And that makes the pecking order far messier than most depositors realize. Meaning, if a bank goes into that resolution process, the casino chips get paid before your savings account. JP Morgan alone holds roughly $58 trillion in derivatives. The top 25 banks, over 200 trillion. You're standing in a line you didn't know existed, behind $200 trillion in Wall Street side bets. And before you say,
no, Matt, that's not going to happen. You're just trying to scare me.
Well, it already happened. You see, in March of 2013, depositors at the Bank of Cyprus woke up on a Saturday morning and found out that 47.5% of everything they had over the insured limit was gone, converted to shares of a failing bank. Banks closed for 2 weeks. ATMs emptied by Monday. Capital controls lasted years. And as of October 2025, 12 years later, victims are still filing reimbursement claims. That was an EU member state with a central bank, with deposit insurance, with every promise you're hearing right now.
See, there you go, Matt, with that scare stuff again. That's Cyprus. That's not America.
Hey, fair point. But let me show you what America's own people said. On November 9th, 2022, the FDIC held a meeting. The room included the former president of Goldman Sachs, former heads of Citigroup and JP Morgan, and former Federal Reserve officials, recorded on their website. One member said, on camera, people need to understand they can get bailed in, but you don't want a huge run on the institutions. And then Gary Cohn, Goldman Sachs for 25 years, former White House economic advisor, said this: we want them to have full faith and confidence in the banking system. There's a select crowd of people on the institutional side, and if they want to understand this, they're going to find a way to understand it. So here it is decoded in plain English. The people who run the banks don't trust the banks, but they don't want you to know that, because if you figured it out, you'd move your money. And if enough people moved their money, the whole thing falls apart. So they keep it quiet and they count on you not looking. And honestly, they're probably right.
Yeah, man. So the bank scam that's finna fail. Okay, it's all a scam. All right, and eventually, it's gonna be bank runs, attempted bank runs. Okay, banks being completely cleared out. Okay, this is a hell of a scheme, man. Well, this devil got it to where when the bank fails, you pay for it. Okay, when you can't pay your mortgage, the bank takes your house. When the banks can't pay their bill, we pay for it. Oh boy, man, this nigga gotta go, man. This nigga gotta go, man. You can't make it up, man. This is just a big scam, man. The earth is a big scam on the Esau, man. You know? Well, yeah, man, eventually the banks are gonna fail, all right? The money don't exist, man. You know, it's all just it's a big Ponzi scheme. All right, what they call a pyramid scheme. Okay. But eventually the Lord is gonna break the monopoly board, man. Okay. I think that's real quick. I think that's the book of Psalms. It's a 124. I'll get straight to the point. My brother want to post it. Psalms 124. And yeah, let's go to Psalms 124, verses 7 and 8. Bob Rashad. Psalms 124, verses 7 and 8. You know. Well, yeah, man, this is one big scam. Okay. So we're finna see just the complete failure of this society. You know, it's a controlled demolition, and then it's gonna go out of control. Okay. What we're seeing is a controlled demolition of this whole society, and then it's gonna go out of control. You know, and it's gonna be in the full control, all right, of the Most High. And it's gonna be the end of Esau's kingdom. Okay, the Lord got it set up to where He's finna end the kingdom of Esau, Edom. Okay, that's what we're seeing happen. You know, and Esau, he got his own agenda, and he think he got it figured out. No, okay, the Lord got this nigga numbered, man. This is the brother of Mark Cabal. Psalms 124, verses 7 through 8. It says, "Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers." Okay, who's the fowler? Esau. Okay, and what is the snare? This whole system is a snare, man. And he wants to entrap everyone into a digital prison. You know, because he want to remove you from one prison of debt. All right, from a debt prison, and ultimately that's what this devil is doing. All right, he's hurting you from being a debt prisoner, okay, to a digital prisoner, a digital debt prisoner, man. Okay. It says our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowler. The snare is broken, and we are escaped because Yahushua gonna come break this whole system. You know, when we go up in those chariots, man, okay, Yahushua is gonna be breaking up this whole system. The missiles are gonna be destroying all this infrastructure, man. You see, so this whole system is gonna be broken. It's all corrupt, all right. It's all right, oppressive and deceptive, man. It's wicked. Okay, verse 8, it says, "Our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth." Okay, who made heaven and earth, man. Our help is in the name of our power, man, the authority of our power, man. You know. So that's the point. You know, I'll leave it there. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Till next time I say Shalom. Kwam Yashala, Abba, soon. Shalom.